Ah,
Ah,
Here
ooh,
we are.
oh my
how
God.
are you?
Oh, so good, so good.
What's
Just back
up?
at it again. Really never stopped.
It's so true.
Yeah, and
You ladies look
truthfully,
lovely.
man, we're trying.
I know, right? You don't have to try that hard though. Let's be honest.
Actually, I really didn't. Like,
I was gonna say the hair is already together.
yeah, I just
Mhm.
threw on earrings and lip gloss.
Me too. It was like, well,
And
I
a
got.
sundress. I was like, not
Yeah.
much going on. Like, I'm still gonna have to shower after this.
I'm getting Zoom meeting vibes from the pandemic when you just have the top half is okay.
Uh-huh.
It's like I'm
Yeah.
not wearing any pants.
I'm wearing pants. Listen, I've
That's
been
me.
staying with my cousin here, and it's like staying with Winnie the Pooh because like
Ah,
she'll just wear just wear it's
It's
and when I say just a t-shirt,
oh wow, wow.
because Monica, no, let me explain.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
You have to like, I don't understand. Like, I think people are weird when they can shower and lotion up and just immediately put clothes on. Like, if you guys do that, you're weird. And I'm telling you to your
I do
faces.
that. I do that.
It's gross because I feel like my clothes are
you're
gonna be
gross.
sticking to my skin. So I gotta air dry. I gotta walk around. I gotta be
Let it.
like we were supposed to be. We were supposed to wear stupid clothes. You know what I mean? Like I gotta be free for a little bit. And then I put on the bondage of clothes once my skin dries. And yeah,
The bondage.
Well,
Wow.
we appreciate you putting on clothes for us today.
All
today for
right.
right now. Then
For
I'm
right
ripping all this
now.
off. I'm gonna get some more naked time before I get on the grill, get to cooking,
I like it. Well, you
What y'all got?
guys, if you're just joining us, welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. I'm Moni.
Yeah. And I'm Kat.
Hey, Kat, and
Yeah.
it looks like we have a special guest. You guys
Oh.
heard an extra voice here. You guys aren't imagining things. We have at the Super Chef Barbie, Shannon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Oh my
you.
gosh, this is exciting. So, Kat, tell us like what's going on right now. Like, tell us about our guest and what we're doing here today.
Okay, well, what we're always doing here is just celebrating life and the
Mm.
fact that we get to express ourselves. So, this is my cousin. This is my baby cousin. We're don't just relax, and then we're and we're she's a
Oh,
fan of the show. And I'm
yeah.
visiting right now. She's being my gracious host. I'm visiting for the holiday weekend. By the time this airs, it'll be long gone. But I thought like we should have her on the show. She always comments and lets me know like she's really enjoying the show and has, book ideas and all this stuff. I'm like, well, since I'm here, I got to record at your house anyway. I'm like, why don't you just be on the show and tell us why you love it?
I think that's a fantastic idea. Thank you for, being a fan and following us and supporting us. And it's been so much fun. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I always do like hearing like people's feedback, honest feedback about what they think about the show.
Oh yeah.
You
So
already know
first,
this is a lot like us just talking anyway. So
so that's what like. That's the number one thing I love about it. It's as though
got it.
I'm right there in the same city as you guys. You're saying some of the things I'm thinking, and I was telling Kat, it's funny. I'll be in the grocery store driving in the car, and it's like we're having a conversation because I'm in the conversation with you all. I'm talking back. I'm giving my critique. You guys are saying your thing. It's just I love it. It's like a friendship via wherever you are. It's just awesome. And then you talk about topics. One of my favorite was the salt, fat, acid
Heat.
episode
Okay.
because your
Yeah.
sister loves to cook,
Yeah.
loves a good cookbook, and loves and just I was like, oh, I gotta get that Amazon. Here we go. Like I just
Mhm.
love the topics. You say a lot of the things. It's really you're yourselves. You know what I mean? It just feels like we're in your kitchen, just hanging out on a rooftop, having drinks. You're yourselves. Just what you have to say is relevant. I just love it. And it's a good time. It's a good time.
Oh, yay. That's so great. I think that is sort of the energy that that we are using to create the show. So I'm glad that you feel that. And hopefully other people do too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think this is a good time to kind of dedicate our episode. So you guys, hands over your hearts. Like always, we want to. Oh, I didn't even put mine on there.
I was gonna say,
I forgot y'all could see me now. As always, we love to dedicate our episodes to our listeners. Thank you guys for your support. And then also, you know what? I want to dedicate this episode to my kids. Um, 10 years ago, like yesterday, my son made me a mom and he changed my life. My daughter's birthday's coming up this Thursday. And, they just opened up this whole new world, okay? My heart just grew. I'm no longer the Grinch. Like, I care about stuff. And so I have to give them all of the credit for actually making me a better person. I wasn't anticipating that. So it's been a fun journey. And I love you guys. So,
I can co-sign that. I synced it.
everybody's like, oh my God. So, yeah.
That is great. Well, yes, and that dedication, because your kids are fantastic. You're doing a bang up job.
I try.
And it never stops. That's one of the things you learn about parenting. It's just an ongoing thing. And it's funny because it relates to my dedication today, which is to friends and family, like family and chosen family, especially, and especially to my mom. I want to dedicate this. She just had a birthday as well. It's birthday season, and it's just as I've gotten older, it's very apparent to me what a good mom I have and how different my life would have been if I did not have a good mom. You see a lot of that in these streets, and it's very, very sad and discouraging. And out there, I'm glad I have the family that I have. Y'all really helped me.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's love today.
I like that dedication. That's super dope.
Yeah,
the best.
Because there's no but.
Yeah, it is true. So that's the wrap up on the dedication. Are we good? Is it over?
Yes. Okay. Dedication over.
Dedication over. Okay. So, we didn't exactly say what we were here to talk about today. So let me let y'all, our listeners, in on something. So Kat calls me up and she's like, so I wanted to record with my cousin, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be so much fun. Like, that'll be dope. What are we gonna talk about? Like, she got a book or what? And she says, Star Trek. I need the music to play, the little dorky music to come on right now. Like, yeah, the Star Trek. And I'm like, although, I mean, I think I've said this on the show before. Like, I did get into Next Generation when I was maybe about 20, because I was in nail.
Because you didn't have cable.
Did not have cable. Fox was the only channel that like came up. This is before, like the really good cable and stuff. So
or the internet.
Or the internet existed, but I'm pretty sure
but not YouTube.
It wasn't like in our homes, yeah,
bitch. We told y'all we're from the 1900s, so y'all
yeah.
how we got down. So I watched it because I didn't have anything else to do. So I did get into that series, but I don't have the ability to geek out for it. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy it, but not like
how we do.
Extent where people who enjoy Star Trek enjoy it. So I'm gonna let Kat kind of like intro kind of what we're gonna talk about in relation to Star Trek this episode.
So yeah, I wanted to because I thought it would be funny because me and Shannon are both so into it and you're not. So it'd be kind of a fun contrast to kind of geek out on why Star Trek was so important to me and why and just the
genesis of it all.
Yeah. So I was gonna
reference it a lot. So I do think that this is an
true
sort of episode. Like it was inevitable. So who better to do it with than Shannon? So that's
yes. So Shannon, tell me, why do you like Star Trek?
So for me as a Southern girl, first of all, there were no accents. Like for me, I could not hear the Southernness. I couldn't hear the Northernness. I really fell in love with Star Trek at an early age. I think it was the summer when I was thinking about it. I think it was the summer that we watched Roots and we watched Shaka Zulu and we watched another one of those kind of period films. And it kind of like opened my eyes because it's funny, like when they really say kids don't see color, it didn't register to me. You know what I mean? Even though then I realized, I live in a Black neighborhood, but I go to a predominantly white school. And, like those documentaries, those movies kind of opened up my eyes to that. But Star Trek wasn't about any of that. You know what I mean? They didn't have currency. There wasn't like a salary and pay and money and, food was free, housing, education, all that good stuff. And I love the look of the costumes, the hair, the non-accent, and the storyline. First of all, I'm so glad you fell in love with Star Trek Next Generation
Mhm.
first, because that was the best Star Trek. I'll just put that out there. For those who like Deep Space Nine,
All right, relax,
Oh,
relax.
I'm about to say, Kat, how you feel about that? Because
I mean,
I saw the
I
she's
think,
theory.
our
Yeah.
she's our guest. We'll talk later.
and the guests are
Okay.
always right. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
but all the Star Treks are great. But Next Generation was the best. Loved it, loved it. And I thought I was gonna marry Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh,
Wow.
shit,
And
really?
I would
so
still marry Patrick Stewart.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Like for real. Like if he asked, I'd be like, yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Like,
where are we gonna live?
I mean, he's
You
technically
know,
married right now. I don't want to step on any toes, but
right. But I love that. And the storylines, and just that I just loved it. And of course, my favorite thing of all time, anybody who knows me, food. I've always loved Thanksgiving, has always been my favorite holiday, above Christmas, above my birthday. It will always be my favorite holiday. I love food. I love food so much. I went to culinary school. I love food. I cook every day. And the fact that you could just talk to a machine and say turkey and dressing, and it would just synthesize and just make the turkey and like
you
what
talking about the replicator.
the
Ooh, I
replicators
need
just
that. I need one of
like
those actually.
Oh yeah. Oh
Right,
yeah.
right
Oh
now
yeah.
today.
Be like
like
Earl
that was
Grey
my
hot.
thing. That was the best thing ever. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so Star Trek forever, like forever.
That
Yeah.
is
Forever.
Kat, what about you then? I mean,
Well, for me, it was about. Interesting. You brought up the audio of it. But I never even thought about the fact there weren't accents. Like you're
Hmm.
not thinking about where people are from or whatever. Even though I guess technically Jean Luc he had a British accent,
But it was
but
like
even though
it,
he was from France, though he's French with a British accent.
and they would go to other worlds, other things but it was just it wasn't about that. You couldn't hear that because it was always wherever we went. It's like, oh, y'all are so country. Oh, we can hear your
Y'all are pretty
accents, and
country.
you're from Nashville, and what do you guys do down there? And it wasn't any of that. It was just very just. I love that. I love that.
I liked the fact because it is a metaphor for because you said other countries, but they're other planets. It is a metaphor for just cross cultural cooperation. That's what I liked
Hmm.
about it. It was a hopeful future. Like I said, humanity had finally found peace, and we wanted to explore the galaxy, learn things. And oh, this is what I wanted to ask you too. What is your favorite episode? Like, if we had to watch an episode right now, what would you want to watch?
That's a tough one. There's so many. Oh man.
I know that's why this is we ask the hard questions here on Fake Ass Book Club
I mean,
about
golly.
TV shows.
Ooh,
You know
there's
what?
a
Think about it. I'll come back because
there's
I
a
know
couple
mine.
few. There's a
All
couple few. You
right.
go first. Yeah, you go first.
All right. So my favorite of all time is Chain of Command. It's a two-parter. And don't roll your eyes at me.
Oh,
You're
that's
on
right. You
my
can see
show.
me. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Act right, okay? Jeepers. Okay, so yeah, Chain of Command part. You wouldn't even know which episode. Which episode is it? Why are you
Go
rolling
ahead.
your eyes?
Go
Well,
ahead.
no, for real. You rolled your eyes real hard. Which episode is it? Since it wasn't a good one.
No, go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So it's the one where Picard gets kidnapped by the Cardassians and is tortured. And actually it really formed my opinion on torture because I remember when they were torturing like during the Iraq war and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I remember thinking it's super fucked up because torture doesn't work. Like, of course, it's wildly unethical, but also it just isn't effective as getting information. Because
Right.
on the episode, Captain Picard is being tortured over and over, and like this Cardassian is like telling him, like, hey, I'll set you free, but you got to tell me you see 5 lights, but there were just 4.
Hmm.
And so Picard was like, I ain't going for it. You ain't going to break me. So he just keeps screaming at him. There are 4 lights. I love it. That's my favorite thing from Star Trek because it's like, I know the truth. Like, I be feeling like that because people try to gaslight me all the time and trying to tell me, like, shit ain't real. Like I can't see right now. Like, no. And whenever I get that feeling, my inner Captain Picard is like, no, bitch, there are 4
4. Yeah.
lights. And so, but what was crazy is at the end of the episode when he's talking to Counselor Troy, because I love that about the show too. Like they normalized therapy. There was just a
Hmm.
therapist on board that everybody had to see. And she could actually relieve Captain Picard of duty. She had the authority to do that. Like if he was
Yeah.
too stressed out, she could command him to go on vacation. And when he's sitting there, doing his session with her, he was like, look, he was like, when I was being tortured and he was offering me like this life of comfort, he was never going to torture me again. And because he had lied to him and said the Enterprise had been destroyed.
Mm.
So he's thinking like he's all alone in the universe now. He's stuck on this planet, this foreign planet, and he's completely at this guy's mercy. And the guy asked him, he's like, I'm gonna ask you one last time, how many lights do you see? And Picard was like, I actually saw 5 lights. Like his brain actually tricked him into seeing 5 lights so he could say it. But he never did
Mhm.
say it though, because he knew what was going on. But he was like, but he was telling Troy, like, this is, the confessing to his counselor. Nobody else knows. He was like, but man, in that moment, I really made myself see 5 lights because I wanted to say it. But in that moment, he got rescued before he
Yeah,
would completely break. But that's my favorite episode, and why? Because I love the truth.
that was a good episode. That
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. It was.
Hmm. Very well written. And so what is your favorite episode?
So there are two. There,
Okay.
well,
Technically, mine was 2. It was a two-parter.
technically there are 10, but anywho, we'll just narrow it down. I mean, it's just such a great show. I can still watch it now. But just a quick plug, Vizio TV has a Star Trek Next Generation channel, and that's all they play. And that's all they play.
Oh,
So I just turn that on and I'm just like, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, this is good
More,
shit right here. Yeah.
more, more.
Every bit of it.
Classics,
Every
classics.
bit of it.
Give
Love
it
it.
to me.
I love the episode. I don't know the name of the episode, but when um what's the doctor's name, the redhead, I had a love-hate
Crusher, Dr.
relationship.
Crusher.
I had a love-hate relationship with her because I feel like she babied her son, and I was like, I
His
mean,
daddy
I
died.
know, but like, bitch, pull it together.
And
Like, my
he
God,
was like, he was
it's
gifted. He was like Kanye.
yeah, whatever. You're making him soft. I just even then I was like, you're softening the boy up. I mean, my God, like, I mean, he's
Your daddy died. Get over it.
I mean, golly, come
I
on.
hope you're about to say the episode I'm thinking of. Go ahead.
Where she fell in love, she fell in love with the it was
The
like a
candle,
yes,
that Outlander ass episode.
just
Yeah.
so much, so hard.
What's
Like
so
because
funny? I always skip that episode. That
what?
episode, yes. Where her fall in
Because
love with.
I love
Wait, wait, wait. Let's tell the people what we're talking about.
Please.
okay.
Y'all
Dr.
don't even know.
Crusher Dr. Crusher falls in love with this alien that's possessed this candle and is trying to convince her he's like from the past or whatever.
But also he made her aunt fall in love, and the aunt before, like it was like a
Yeah. It was an
generational
heirloom.
thing. It was an
Yeah, it was an
heirloom that was
heirloom.
passed down through generations, and they had these. So these women had these great loves with this alien, but that was also sucking energy from them, or something.
Yeah, it was killing them.
It was killing them, but yet it
Like
was
a
just
lot of romantic relationships.
and so that's why I was like, oh, he's toxic. That was my first, encounter with like, oh, he's toxic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, oh, but he's so attractive and he's so caring and he's saying the right things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's killing her. And then I love the tension between because Jean-Luc and Dr. Crutcher, you always wanted them to get together, you know what I'm saying? But they never did. And he was this hard person, but then he softened up a little bit as time went by when it came to Wesley and yeah, but
Yeah, and the backstory is too because Picard is responsible for Dr. Crusher's husband dying.
and they were friends.
Yeah,
And it was
so that's
just,
why it's like super weird. It's like, yeah, I kind of killed your husband off, and now I'm gonna.
but I think you're cute and I would get with you. But yeah, I'm the reason why your husband's dead.
It's so funny. That episode always cringed me. I was
Really?
always, yeah, I think I only watched it one time. And then every time it came up, I was like, pass. Cause I was like, man, because Dr. Crusher, I mean, she was the head medical officer. She was so strong. And to see her get so weak over this dude, it made me feel bad.
I mean, remember she collapsed, like she had cried, she
Mhm.
had to destroy him. It was just like, oh, she still
Yeah.
doesn't get a love. That's okay. Get back to work. We got things
That's
to do.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
She's out here saving the
let's
galaxy and
go.
stuff.
Like, right.
Yeah. What's your favorite episode of Star Trek?
Well, actually, I was trying to Google the one that she's talking about. Is it a green light coming at her or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Sub-
Yeah. It was actually
Sub-
really good animation.
Yeah,
Especially
Sub-
for then. Think about it.
Yeah, those
like,
special effects were actually not too bad.
I don't remember any of them specifically. I mean, I just remember overall enjoying it though. And there were
Okay.
good stories and stuff like that. I don't know if I was super in love with the costumes. I always thought they looked a little dorky, low key.
It was so streamlined and just.
But I'm thinking about it when you first started watching it in the 1900s, and maybe
Mhm.
you know. but
Yeah, it was fine for the
Cotton wasn't a
time.
for the
thing,
time
you
being.
know.
Actually, what's her name? The counselor Troy's mama. I used to love her costumes. Loxana Troy
Yes.
from the Fifth House of Bezoy. Like she was a
She was very
diva.
sexual. She was like, and she could,
Mm-hmm.
because they could, know your thoughts. And it's like, oh,
Oh, Captain
Jean-Luc. It's like,
Picard.
he wasn't even thinking that, girl. He not thinking.
He's like, "You looking at my camel toe."
Right.
Right. She
And she
was
would say
she
these things. She was very, yeah,
Yeah.
I liked her a
I
lot.
loved it. Yeah, it taught me so many lessons. I feel like I learned so many lessons about ethics because that was the thing. They really were explorers. Like we were
Mhm.
taught that like the colonists, like the history that we're taught here in the United States is like, the Europeans came over as explorers, but they weren't. They were colonists. They were,
Mhm.
brutal. But like with Star Trek, the prime directive is we're just exploring and learning. Like our biggest thing is
Right.
we don't interrupt a culture as it is. Like if you do, you can get drummed out of Starfleet. You can lose your
Mhm.
job if you violate the prime directive. And I loved that too, because I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't go into stuff like I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm a guest here. So like
Yeah.
they would have to study a culture for like sometimes decades before they could even make first contact so that they wouldn't interrupt their society.
Or offend them,
Right. You could end
Right.
up with, because that's what happened with the Klingons. They were at war for years with the Klingons because of their first contact experience.
Oh,
Because
really?
they, yes, like
Mhm.
you have to realize, like for Klingons, some forms of politeness was an insult. And even in our own society, like there's certain like when you visit certain countries, you're supposed to be told like there's certain things we do that's acceptable that aren't like the okay symbol. Like a lot of places that's really offensive. Like there's a thumbs up. Like some places, like things you do that are considered fine here don't translate other places. So that's what I loved about Star Trek. Just learning about how like your experience doesn't color the entire universe.
Mhm.
Like there's a whole universe going on that has nothing to do with you, and you can just, you to learn to really want to explore, you have to realize your place in that and make sure that you're not interrupting somebody. You're not the most important thing in the universe.
I like that. I actually
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
that. I think that and I mean us all, because I mean, Shannon, you went to private schools or no?
No, public education over here, baby. Yeah.
But it was like the white ones though.
But it was like very, yeah. So, redlining is definitely a thing. So we, even though, so in our neighborhood, it's a generational thing. And so on the street that we grew up, it was all family. And so it was this whole thing of, I think it was our great great grandfather or great great great. So basically, he owned all this land in the city that we lived in. And so when someone would get married, he would give them some acreage. He would give them a plot of land. So I got to grow up on the street with a lot of my cousins and third and fourth and fifth cousins and all these people. And so everybody looked like me where I grew up. But then I'd get on the school bus and ride for 40 minutes, 50 minutes,
Ah,
and be at a all white school, all white students, all white teachers. Like I've had the years where I was the only Black person in my class. Then I've had the year where I was the only Black girl in my class. And then I had the school year where I was one of like three Black people in my class. You know what I mean? So it was just
yeah.
very white. And it's funny, it's not like that now, but it was just very, very white. And so, yeah, no. So I mean, sort of private school because it was
Okay.
great education because they were predominantly white schools.
Yeah, their community had the resources, so they weren't pulling
Mhm.
tax dollars. But I guess the point that I was kind of gonna say was, the way we get taught history, to Kat's point, is very, from a very Eurocentric sort of point of view. And so I think that a lot of Americans, and I can just really speak for myself, I know initially, like, you see everything through that lens. You very rarely see, like, from Asia's point of view, like how history
Mhm.
went down, or from an African point of view, or anything else. So I think that's a good point, especially when, like, you're in a space where maybe you're only getting one perspective, to consume art that encourages you to appreciate other cultures and to sort
Yeah.
of, take it all in without wanting to change it. And I think it helps you contextualize, even like you're saying about colonialism, and how really fucked up that is. And how, like, just moving into different spaces and trying to change it like that. I mean, we see the results of it still now. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah.
And,
Bigly.
we're and a lot of cultures are still trying to get back to theirs, but I think that colonialism at large was so damaging that even those cultures now kind of still buy into it, the way that they think about themselves and their culture, and trying to decolonize their minds and their religion and their, lived experiences, because you're almost forced to see things through that way, and it's like, oh, this is the right way, this is how it is.
That
So
lens.
it
Yeah.
does take reading books and exposing yourself to different things to kinda, you know what I mean, open, open up your mind, because especially in religious settings, I know that you get taught to not question certain things and not, it's very one way. It's being presented to you in one way. So I do like the idea of, it helping you be more open minded, or people be.
Yeah, true multiculturalism, not just professed multiculturalism. And that's why, too, Deep Space Nine was actually pretty good. The first season was terrible. I will agree, the first season was not good. But after the second one, when they found their footing, like, because that was the theme of it, like the Bajoran planet had been colonized by, once again, the Cardassians.
You can just say Kardashian.
And
It's fine.
I was
I
like,
have to
don't
really
say
hard.
that other word.
Well, I have to concentrate because I do that a lot. And they colonized Bajor for years, and really Deep Space Nine is the space station that's kind of keeping peace because they're right next to Bajor, and they're trying to help Bajor recover from their occupation. And just the fact of what occupations do to a culture, what that, the fallout from that, and the fact too that the Cardassians were like, well, we didn't do anything wrong. It's like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Like, there would just be like, no, they were so backwards, we were helping them, and it's like, no, you weren't. You were exploiting the hell out of them and enslaving them.
Right.
And so that's why we should probably do like maybe a rewatch of Deep Space Nine so that you can realize it was actually a fantastic show.
Well, to be fair, I could not get through the first season. I was like, this is not Star Trek quality. What the hell is going on?
Well, actually, if you remember the first season of Next Generation was pretty garbage.
Well, no, can't give you that. No.
It was
all of it pure gold. All of it.
That first season
were there of Next Generation.
I want to say like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
I don't even know how far I made it. I have no idea.
Yeah, and plus, and like I said, this was back when you couldn't just stream a whole series. You had to catch it when it came on TV, buy the box set. That's the only way we were going to be able to watch it. So it's very luxurious now to be able to go boop boop and just watch it all the way through. But like even with Deep Space Nine, a lot of times I didn't even when it was airing, I wasn't super into it. So it would just come on when it came on, and I catch it. And then I figured out, I was like, oh, this is actually good. And then when I got the box set, I was like, oh, that's why I didn't like the first. Okay. That's why it took a while to get into it. The first season was terrible.
Who was in that one? Who was in, what actors was Whoopi in that one? Or no, she was in the one I was watching, isn't it?
Right. She was in Next Generation. Whoopi Goldberg
was in Deep Space. It's that black man, right?
Worf.
Yeah.
But Worf didn't show up until season 4, I think.
No, that ain't the black man I'm talking about.
You're thinking about, oh gosh,
Geordie LaForge, LeVar Burton.
No one from Star Trek.
Cisco.
Who am I thinking of, Shannon? She probably does know because I have no idea what's going on. He was like a black guy, like a brown.
He was the captain.
I don't know who he was. I just remember
from Deep Space Nine.
That was
Captain Cisco.
Oh, Captain Cisco. He had like a little mini fro.
They shaved it off. He ended up going bald. But I think at the beginning he did have a mini fro.
You're talking about Captain Cisco, Avery Brooks. That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, because he had the son and stuff like that, and that was like the first like black captain too, and because he was the emissary. Because then it got into the nature of mythology because he was prophesied to be the savior of the Bajoran people, and it was a whole thing. And then of course he was like, I'm just some guy. But then it turned out, spoilers, he was actually the son of the wormhole aliens that were worshipped by the Bajoran people. So he kind of was the emissary. It was dope.
Oh, God. So then I've seen Deep Space Nine. If I've seen ones with Wolf.
It was very diverse. I loved it because that was the thing too with Geordie LaForge, because like you wouldn't see a lot of blind characters on TV. And I love that too, where it was just kind of like, because that was an episode too where Geordie was talking to I don't know what race of aliens it was, but they were just, because he was explaining that he was born blind, and the alien was like, oh, we would have killed you off top because that would have been seen as a form of weakness. And he was like, yeah, but because they were trying to because he had a visor that helped him see the light spectrum, and then that led to all sorts of other technologies. And it was like, so as human beings, we use like that as an opportunity to learn things. And it's like, we don't just like discard people just because they're not, quote unquote perfect or whatever. I love that.
Oh, I love him. Shout out to LeVar Burton, man. He is a national treasure. I love him so hard.
I was going to marry him too. Reading Rainbow. I mean,
he is amazing. His voice, even, like, I don't know if you guys ever listened to his podcast.
LeVar Burton reads. Yes, I do.
you take your deep breath in the beginning, and it's a bunch of different short stories, and I think it's the nostalgic sort of feeling that I got watching Reading Rainbow as a kid. But then
Yeah.
he's just a great storyteller, like his inflection and just he loves people so hard. Did somebody just poop? No, I'm just playing.
I know, right? It's like kids, man.
Right.
There are multiple bathrooms in this house. Like, go. I don't know why
No,
they
they have
just
to
want to
go
go
with
to the
large
one
haters.
behind me. I'm like, there's another one downstairs, and then you can use the other one. And it's just, it's like, and
Okay.
then can you let Chloe know as well? Like, I don't know what she wanted, but I mean, texting is
Yeah.
an excellent form of communication. I was like, why,
She
why,
even solved her problem.
why isn't she texting? And Eden was in the other bathroom. And I was saying there's another bathroom downstairs. Oh, see,
The children,
see,
man. The
We're
children.
professional here.
I'm just saying. I just
Well, they know the biz. I mean, our life don't stop because we're trying to
And
do this
see,
thing.
this is why at home I just record in the closet because there's no
That's
reason
where
for you
I'm
to
at.
come in here.
That's exactly.
oh man.
And they just have to keep eyes on. Can we talk about that for a minute while you're kids? Just like when you do stuff like this, when you take time out to just do like that, like, can I be an adult? I
No.
want
No,
45 minutes to be an adult because that's
no.
why we wanted to kick them out of the room. We wanted to watch the new season of Stranger Things.
Thank you. And was gonna watch it at nighttime, and I know
First
that
off, don't
scares
be telling
her.
people my
But
real name.
It's cat only for the show's purposes. So.
The fuck?
I'm gonna put knocked
my
out here in
bad.
the street.
And they be looking for me, y'all.
Don't be looking for it, y'all. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But
No, it's all
I
good.
mean, I've been anxious to watch it. And I'm like, kids,
They're
kids,
haters.
man.
They're the ultimate haters. Gotta love
I
them,
mean,
but also
they're all right. And
But we
please
did
know,
watch. But what did we watch last night though? So that was technically family friendly. I don't know if I want those
I
lessons
know I
given
was
to my
like,
daughter though.
we're gonna need to talk about this. We're gonna need to unpack this
Unpack this. So we're
later.
talking about Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, the musical,
yes.
because we did watch it last. Well, I fell asleep on it, like I do. It's
Oh my
part of my
god,
charm.
that
But
show.
and also too, I was cold. She had the air blasting. I had to put the
Now,
Her
covers
voice
over.
gotta
because
air out. You heard her say she needs to air out.
and so you're already once again you're in bondage again with the blankets. This whole
Bondage.
oh my god. And so I love it cold. And I meant to ask you, I was like, is she cold? And I was like, take
Nigga,
Doesn't
it.
matter.
obviously I'm
So,
cold. I have the blanket over my head and I have electric blanket on.
but
Yes,
I'm like,
I'm
you're a
very
northerner.
cold.
You're never cold. Your heart
Right.
is made of ice. Like, let's do
Mhm.
this. So I turned the air down real low and put that fan on because I don't want to sweat. It's like then I don't. It's like
Sweating is unpleasant, but so is freezing.
I don't mind sweating. That's how
we'll
you
find a
do it
happy
in
median
your 50s.
tonight. We'll find a happy
Okay.
median.
That's
But no,
fine.
I love that movie.
What made
It's
you
funny.
turn it on?
I think I saw it like because this is like the second time I've watched it this month, and so
I watched it this month too randomly. I just so happened to see it on the streaming service, and I was like in my kitchen washing dishes. Actually, shout out to Sylvia Hubbard. We had her on an episode and reviewed one of her books. So, I spent a lot of time with her as a kid because she was my neighbor. Like she lived across the street from me, and I remember
what?
her being like I remember her being in college, and like I would be part of her media projects and stuff like that sometimes, and like she would be dropping really like gems on me as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like down to
Hmm.
like guys and all that kind of stuff. But also she loved musicals and loved Disney movies. So we would always watch musicals and Disney movies. And that was one that she introduced me and my brothers to. First of all, I know all the songs. I don't know the words to a lot of stuff, but I know the words to most of the songs for Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. So I thought that this was like a super obscure musical that like nobody else really saw like that. Cause I
Well, I
got
think
it.
what
Because is it Rogers and Hammerstein?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, that's very, very popular.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't
But
know
I didn't.
that.
I think what caught me early on was I've always loved westerns. It's probably the southerner in me. So I
Mm.
think I was getting more when I first watched it. How old was I? I don't know, maybe 19 or 20 or something like that. I thought I was watching another western, and then it was the extra layer of are they singing?
They're
He's singing like
singing. It's terrible though. Like the messaging is terrible. And I watched it with my kids too. So I actually watched it twice too, actually, in the last month.
see.
Because I watched it by myself and I thought, because sometimes my kids will be like, Mom, turn on like turn on something old. Like we want to watch something old.
Like,
They're
first
like
of
the
all, you're jerks for
ICV
saying that, but okay, yeah.
but because it was old even when I was
For
young.
That's
us, yeah.
true. That's
In
true.
the
Because that wasn't made in the night. That was, I mean, it was the
no,
No.
1900s, but it was like what, the
it was made in the 1900s, but it was supposed to be like 1851,
1950s?
and I was
Maybe 40s, 50s, because it was in
1851.
color. Yeah, 51, yeah.
And
Let's
so he
find
was
out.
like, it was made in the 1900s, but it was supposed to be the 1851 because I pointed out to my kids,
Right.
black people were still technically enslaved. You don't see them there.
That's why
So
you
I
don't see
like to make
them.
sure I say
Mhm.
that.
Oh, okay. So it takes place in 1850, but it was
Mhm.
recorded in 1954.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So
yeah,
wait, wait. When was slavery abolished? Like 4 years later?
1865.
Oh,
Well,
way
was it
later.
63 technically, and then 65 was Juneteenth when they
Okay,
knew
so
Yeah,
yeah, this was solidly during slavery.
yeah.
solidly. So that's what we were. So I made sure I let my kids know about
And
that.
it looked like two women were kind of in bondage as well.
It was definitely very messed up. Like, the whole premise of the musical is there's this backwoodsman, he goes to town, and he's basically looking for a wife because he and his 7 brothers who live up in the
In the
Well, no,
mountains
his
mountains.
he
six
needs a maid.
brothers.
Excuse me,
6
6
brothers.
brothers 'cause he's the 7th. He needs somebody to, cook and clean for him and
He
his
needs a slave.
raggedy
Mhm.
yes, his
Mhm.
raggedy, family, so he ends up love at first sight, air quotes, with this, girl, Millie, because,
Mhm.
he sees that she's got a strong back and she's beautiful and all
And
this,
a small waist. They
in
were
a tiny
snatched.
ways. My God, all of them in this whole thing, it was like, "Really?"
Mhm.
So she doesn't know he has these 6 brothers that live up there, but he ends up taking her. She agrees to marry him. They get married, leave, and basically she becomes a slave. She kind of leans into it, and but she sort
Mhm.
of whips them into shape and makes them into gentlemen and teaches
Like
them
women
about
always have to
ladies and
do.
stuff like that. So, and it's just, I mean, it's super problematic, especially because they end up kidnapping the girls that they meet at
At
the barn raising, and cause an avalanche, and they're like stuck at the thing for what months, 4 months.
it was like almost 6 months, because remember that was winter, it was before the holidays, and it wasn't gonna clear until spring.
Yeah, man, that shit, it
Yeah,
was super
and
problematic.
caused the avalanche on purpose.
Yes,
Yeah,
with shooting
so
gun
he
at
couldn't be rescued.
dude.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
bad. It was pretty bad. And then there was like a shotgun wedding at the end, and
But
Okay,
did you
so
catch Go ahead, Kat, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say because this was my first time watching it. I'd never watched it before, and I
okay,
watched a lot of Rogers. And it's so funny, like the stuff, like because I watched a lot of musicals as a child. So like My Fair Lady,
Mhm.
The King and I, Singing in the Rain. I love old musicals, but for some
Yeah.
reason, this one was never on my radar. So coming into it as an adult with fresh eyes, I'm just thinking about the writers who wrote the dialogue for the women, and she's like, "All my life, they're just dreaming of having a house and a husband to take care of, and that's all I want to do." And I'm like,
it's terrible. It's
it was like, I just don't want anything else for myself. That's all I want. And
well,
it
she
was
didn't
like,
wanna be at that. She was like, "I'd rather just cook for the one." I think that
Instead of
right.
she was like,
all
"I know
the
Imma have to cook for these niggas, but can it just be one?" Like, she was working at, like, a inn or something where
And
she
Yeah,
yes,
she
all
was.
the time,
Yeah.
so
Millie was
yeah, that
working
was
hard.
it was
And she was just lovely. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this sorrel and I'm gonna make a stew."
You
And
remember
she
she
was
was
just
orphaned too,
delightful.
so she wanted a family. Remember her parents died, and she came out there, and she
Oh,
kinda
mhm,
the pastor and his wife took her under their wing, and so that's why she wanted a one husband, a small family, just, that's why she wanted family. She wanted to
mhm.
not have to slave, for all these men
mm.
her whole life. She wanted a family again. Yeah, and then he used that against her.
But I liked her feistiness sometimes too. I mean, she ended up just sort of resolving herself to her fate, but also, like, she flipped the table when they came down after she cleaned that whole shit up,
She was
and
like, "You
the
wanna eat like pigs? Eat like
she
pigs."
flipped the table, so it was some Teresa
Mhm.
Giudice vibes there. I was like,
I
"Let's
love a
go,
flip
Millie.
table.
Let's go."
Well, it reminds me too a little bit of when Celie from The Color Purple came to live with Mister, and
Yeah.
like women just end up being this civilizing force,
Yeah.
but also completely unappreciated. Like you're
Yeah,
supposed to like do all of this stuff, but it's like, yeah, that's just what you do,
that's what you
and
do.
it's like
Mhm.
it doesn't mean it's not work because I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it,
Right.
work because you haven't been doing it, and you're looking for somebody like
To
myself
do it.
to come do it. So that in and
Mhm.
of itself seems like that would ring the bells, you know what I'm saying? Like, "Okay,
Yeah.
that's the job."
It
That's all
reminds me
I'm not
too of this phenomenon noticed in like a lot of communities where a lot of married men, like when their wife suggests like getting a maid, men are all immediately like, "Why should we pay for that? We have you."
Mhm.
And it's like, well, I have a job. So this is a job. Like taking care of a home is a job, no matter what. My ex and I used to debate this all the time because he felt a way about women who were stay-at-home moms. He felt like they should have like out jobs outside the house. And I'm like, I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman who chooses to just stay home and take care of their family. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I worked outside of the home, but that was my choice. Like if anybody, there's nothing wrong with what you want to do. And
Yeah.
because that he's basically saying there's not enough to do, they're not staying busy enough. And I'm like, there's plenty to do.
They're
Like
not
if
staying
all
busy.
you do is make, I remember during the lockdown for COVID, like when my kids were at home and making them like meals, like that would take, I never got bored when people were talking about they were bored and stuff like I never,
Yeah.
ever. There was way too much that needed to be done. Like if you take care of a home and you have people in there all the time, that's a 24/7 job. And there's nothing wrong with paying somebody to help you out with that.
Which I
Absolutely.
mean, which perfectly leads me to the point of I've watched this movie in my 20s, my 30s, and now in my 40s. And although I think I still have that nostalgic, I love it. The older I get, the more I see about like what is his problem? What are the brothers like? Why do we have to? And like we said, there's no black people in it, but I still identify with her because she's a woman. I'm like, why do we have to do everything? We have to do everything.
Mhm.
There's. I was like, is the bar really? The bar has really been this low for men forever.
Forever.
Like, wow, because not only did she have to have small waist, did she have to be pretty, she had to be hardworking, her cooking had to be up to par. Remember, he saw a woman on the street and he was like, her eyes are beautiful, but she's too fat. Like, what
Mhm.
Who are
He said
you?
that.
the thank you? I was like,
Yeah.
can you see him? I remember when he shaved his beard off, and I
I
was
was
like, oh,
like,
he looked
"Ugh, he
terrible
looks
now.
worse."
Oh,
Yeah. I
oh,
liked him with the beard
put the
better
beard
too.
back on. That was
I
his
heard someone
makeup for
say
his face.
beards are makeup for men.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah. I was like, oh, you need that, sir. Since we're talking about looks, oh, you need that. But yeah, just thinking like, and think about back then too, there was no microwave, there was no stove. He sees her chopping wood to go put in the wood fired stove to cook for all these people. And that's what he was attracted to. Because remember, he didn't love her at first. He was attracted to how hard she worked. He
Mhm.
didn't love her until he went up to that cabin for 6 months and left her while she was pregnant
I
with the brothers. Do you
know.
remember that? That
Yes,
was another thing too that I caught in my
yes.
30s. I was like, oh, white men are raggedy too. They're
Oh,
raggedy. Oh, okay. It's white men, it's black men, it's Hispanic men. All these, all yeah,
Chinese men,
okay.
it's all the same.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
no.
Men
All around
men
the
are
world, same
raggedy.
song.
Same song. Men are raggedy. Remember, because he was throwing a fit because
I
he was
do
the
remember.
one who suggested that his brothers go and kidnap. That's how I got Millie. I lied to her. I just bamboozled her. Go and get your women if you want them.
Mhm.
And yeah,
But he used a book. Was it the Say? I think the Bible. Was it the
it
Say
wasn't the
Bible?
Bible. It was a book about the Romans, and it was telling
Plutarch,
different.
the stories of
Plutarch.
the
Okay, yeah,
Plutarch,
yeah.
And so
yeah.
it's like,
Oh, geez.
yeah,
Because
I
the
still
ancient
love it
Romans
though.
were very sexist as well.
What a shocker.
Yeah.
This movie,
Well,
man.
I'll tell you what, my 7-year-old picked up on that. She was like, "Wait a minute." She was upset. She was upset watching that movie about that part. I think, as a kid, the dancing, like, they got a kick out of the dance numbers and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was
and the
more that.
singing.
Yeah,
And
and we
the
talked about
cinematography, they're
it.
shot well.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about it, like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, Maya, what if somebody wanted to marry you just so that you would cook and clean? She was like, "Absolutely not."
That's not what
And
it's
he
supposed to
didn't
be.
get it in the end until his brother came and told him that his daughter had been born.
Yeah,
And then remember, it kind of started to click for him that how would I feel if someone came in the middle of the night and
it's
snatched her up
my
and took her
daughter.
away from me, and I didn't know if she was
Dummy.
okay?
What a dummy.
Yeah.
Why do men have such limited like emotional broadband? Like, why does it take having a daughter? Because I remember that too. Like, remember after Jay-Z had Blue and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna call women bitches anymore." It's like, really? That's what it took? Not having a mother, not having a wife. It kind of, and
Sisters,
I always
friend,
noticed
yeah.
too, like when they were doing the Me Too stuff, and men who were in support of it were like, "Yeah, I want to see women do well. I have daughters, I have nieces." They never say I have sisters, I have wives.
Yeah.
They always say it's like because you don't love them. You
Not
you
like
love your
that.
daughters and your nieces because you see them as people. But like as when you see other women, like you see them as something that's supposed to be serving you, and when they're not serving you, they're worthless.
We did that. We as women did that. We teach girls to be wives and moms, but we don't teach men to be husbands, fathers, to be human beings. We don't. And so you see your mom as everything she did for me, she was supposed to do. She's my mom. And all my sisters, I mean, they're her helpers, right? They're to help her to take care of me and my dad, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, but they
Yeah.
just don't. And
We
a
just
wife is kind
what?
of the same thing. It's like, yeah, you're my wife, you're not my mom, but aren't you here to take care of me? Like, you're my helpmate,
Yeah.
like, aren't you supposed to, like, you're supposed to go to the grocery store, you're supposed to cook for me, you're supposed to take care of these children, you're supposed to take care of the house. You know what I mean? All I gotta do is work.
Right,
I
or
gotta do,
show up,
or just show up.
because a
Yeah,
lot of men don't even do that. Because we were talking about
true.
that yesterday. We were talking about Tucker Max, that white man,
The white man.
that I always bring up. We're gonna read one of his books one day,
I'm
and his big thing was what he kind of moved the genre he moved into was giving men suggestions on how to navigate relationships. Because he said the one thing he ran into men the most was he would ask them, "Why should a woman be attracted to you?" And they've
Mm,
never asked themselves that question. They just think they're the prize. They just got to show up,
yeah.
Big
and
Adam
it's
energy. That was how he showed up at that thing. He was looking around like, shit, which one of you hoes is coming with me?
like, you see the
Right.
fringe, you see the fringe on this jacket? Come on, let's
I'm
go.
here.
Like, you know
Period.
what it is. Got this
Right.
broad chest. Let's go.
Well, this
Right.
would
And
be an
it
excellent
is.
question for a guy. Like, I feel like I would love to know like
uh,
how they process that.
I would love that too. We invited a guy on the show today too. He
Oh
didn't even
no,
show up.
look at him, look at him.
Looking ass.
Just-
Like, we
He is
could
14 hours away, so ain't no telling.
yeah, we can
But
do that. And also
you
too,
can
I
ask,
wanna I because it feels a little man bashy. We do love men here at the Fake Ass Book Club. We
Very
just
much
want
so.
we just want a little bit of reciprocity. That's all. Like,
I want a lot.
we show up working. We want you to show up working. That's all.
I
Like,
want a
that's
lot of
that's
reciprocity.
all.
Mhm.
Like, and that's the thing. I'm not willing to not have as much respect for myself as you have for your respect for yourself, because men respect themselves. Like, that's the same thing too, like we talk about all the time about how men view infidelity. So like, if a woman cheats on a man, you got to get out of there. But if a man cheats on a woman, you got to work it out.
You got to forgive him. You got to just, I mean,
Yeah.
it
But
just,
Michael Che,
that's how
shout
they
out to
are.
Michael Che. His new season of that damn Michael Che just came out. And I watched it all the way through. It was so funny. And he was doing like little stand-up bits between the skits. And he was talking about it's different when women cheat. He was like, because it hurts our feelings.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And we don't like to act like we have feelings. So,
I can't.
and we feel good
Wow.
about it though, right? Like that's what's interesting. It's like,
Exactly. It
so
doesn't hurt me at all.
right,
When
it
some
doesn't hurt
bitch can come up to my face and talk about how she's had you. Like, that doesn't hurt my feelings at all. And
Yeah.
everybody
that
can look
can
at me like
happen.
that dumb bitch getting played. Like, that doesn't hurt me at all.
It's the
Wow.
ego, their ego is involved. It
It's the
really is.
ego.
And for another man to be able to say, I fucked your girl, your wife, your whoever you're dealing with, it's like that's the ultimate glove slap. Basically, like there's nothing other than I fucked your mama or something like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's like the worst thing I think a guy could think about. Like, is you had my
But I think they choose to be oblivious though. Like, I think that's also tied to their ego. Like, that's got to be you're oblivious to the way you look, to what you offer, to like even your personality, to like, I mean, everything, all of that. Like, I recently I asked a guy that I was dating, like, I forget how we came on the subject, and he was like, I've never been cheated on. And I was like,
lies,
Hot.
lies.
Mm,
Okay,
The
really?
little Kermit the Frog meme where he's like,
Really?
right.
He was
Just
like, well, not that I know of. I was like, that's
that's
very, you've
probably more
definitely been
honest
cheated on,
answer.
buddy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, oh, they're oblivious. Like, they really don't, they, like we said earlier, they think they're the prize.
And I
Like, and
think
not
the
that you
society
shouldn't
feeds on
have,
that, though. You know,
yeah.
society
I want you
reinforces
to,
that.
yeah.
oh, can we agree on something? Like, because we've talked about different media that we enjoyed as children, that we enjoyed because there's Star Trek, Seven Brides, Seven Brothers. I think all three of us love Jim and the Holograms.
Ah,
Yeah, Jim.
And so, yes,
Jimmy the
once
Savior.
we were
Ooh,
actually doing a Jim and the Hologram
Jimmy.
sing along the other day on yeah, we were doing like karaoke together. It was very fun.
Yeah.
And but one of my favorite songs, and this is what I want to bring to a relationship, was when Riot was singing to Jim about being his perfect match. And the lyric is, someone as wonderful as you needs someone as wonderful as me. And to me, that's the energy I want to bring into a relax. It's like I'm gonna go ahead and sing it. Someone as wonderful as you need someone as wonderful. You need someone wonderful, baby. Can't you see we're a perfect match? Perfect match. Yeah, and I'm gonna leave it right there.
And
But it's like,
you
yeah,
were
I just need a
jamming.
match. I'm not gonna come in like because I'm the prize too. You're the prize.
Yeah.
I'm the prize. I got an ego too.
There's that.
Yeah.
There is that, and I think that's a better way of looking at it. Like you should be showing up with something because I'm showing up with something. Like let's both add value to each other's lives.
Yes.
What I'm saying, like, what do you should want to add value. You should. And it's funny because I do think that women understand that about relationships a lot of the time. Like if you're not doing this, or if you're not like you say, if you're not a certain aesthetic, if you're not cooking, if you're not doing that, your value is assessed in a different way. Just like with men, if you're not making a six figure, da da da, we won't go into him. We talked about him enough.
Mm.
No, let's go into it because
Value
that's why we were having a man on the podcast today. That man is your brother, former
Yeah.
guest, Romel, who was he called me the other day with some notes about our previous episode where we our season opener, don't take gas station dick pills, which is still good advice. I stand by that.
I
Yeah.
mean,
His note was that we didn't have facts about how he died. That was speculation.
Okay.
So I will concede that point. It was speculation about how he died. Those weren't facts. But I stand by my overall point about the gentleman we were discussing in that episode. And
mhm.
Absolutely.
in the fact too that you that's what I disagreed with him about, was that the man is the prize and women should just be grateful for that prize. I just disagree with that entirely.
We should both be
Absolutely.
surprised, like what you're saying. Like to me, I should feel like I'm getting something too,
Yeah.
because money is not gonna be
Exactly.
enough. It's not gonna be enough.
Monica, I keep using you guys' real names.
It's
I love
okay.
it
It's
so much. It's
fine.
It
okay.
happens.
Moving on. Um, that's my thing now. Like in this singleness that I'm in my 40s, I don't believe that I have to share someone, as that guy would say, that someone, me, single parent in my 40s, been married before. Like, why would I have the audacity to think that I can have this high value man and not have to share him? Funny. It's just so the jewels, I tell you. But for me, like, it's not even about how much money a guy makes or what he has. The lens that I use and that I feel like other people should use, men, women, whatever, if I have A, B, and C, if I am already a homeowner, if I have the career, if I have great friendships, if I have the best therapist on the planet, if I have children and I vacation and I shop and I eat where I want to eat and I cook whatever, and I do all these things for myself, what are you bringing to the table? You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to add to value to my life? How am I going to add value to yours? I can already give you a list I just did of how I'm going to add value to yours. And that's beyond aesthetics. That's beyond looks. That's beyond what car you drive, what income you have. What are you bringing to the table? If all you're bringing to the table is dick, it's like, oh, I don't really have to marry you for that. I don't have to be in a relationship with you for that. I don't have to be tied to just you for that. And so I think it's that level of, I guess it's the type of, he appealed to the type of man and woman that he appealed to. He was not appealing to me. I didn't follow him on social media. I would see little clips of him from, when people
Just in
would
case
post things,
somebody is like from out of the United States and doesn't know who we're talking about, we're talking about Kevin Samuels,
aka the
recently
jerk.
deceased YouTube star,
Yeah.
or YouTube influencer or
Personality.
whatever he
Influence,
was.
whatever.
He's
Yeah.
he died, and he was intentionally polarizing and kind
Yeah.
of made his bread and butter, like telling it's mostly black women that their standards were too high.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
think that when you're looking for a partner, there just has to be some. For one, you have to be clear about what you want
Hmm.
and what kind of energy you're putting out there. Because I do think when you're showing up just wanting the bag, you're going to get a certain reaction from men when they figure that out. They're not stupid, especially
Yeah.
at our age. Like you know what the person you're dealing with usually is after. So I do think that like when you're showing up and that's the one thing that you're focusing on that and that's all that you want, like you are going to get treated a certain way.
Yeah.
But I like you say, I think that when you're talking about high value people in relationships, is that they're fully formed people who like themselves and who have a full life, who are involved in things that they enjoy, who, take pride in their family and what they do. And, I mean, like, again, I mean, I don't want you to show up as a millionaire, but if I'm working and I'm productive, I expect you to be working and productive. So
That's it.
it's more like meeting me where I'm at, at the very least, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And having that in common. Like, do you think because you're coming with, like, if I met somebody who was fine, who was a millionaire, and they thought that was enough, like, you're not interesting to talk to? You don't like to
Yeah.
travel? You know what I'm saying? Like,
You
You
don't
can't
read
hold a
you know
books.
what hummus
conversation.
That's
you
one of
know
my
what
big.
hummus
That's one of
is?
my big things too. Is like, cause I'm out here. Let's just let everybody know. Like, if you're single, raise your hands. Okay. So when
That's
I'm out here,
that.
yeah. So when I'm out here in these streets dating, one of the things that's very important to me is like, do you read? Are you a
Mhm.
reader? And if the answer is no, I didn't even accept the date because it's
Yeah.
already pretty apparent when someone is a reader. Like if they're intelligent, if they're curious, I need someone who's intellectually curious. I need someone who needs to know that they don't know everything.
That's true. And for me, I would
Mhm.
venture to say too, like with the reading, even if you're not a book reader, do you read the papers? Do you read articles? Because sometimes maybe you're just online and you're like reading op-eds on the Atlantic or some shit like that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
even cool with that because at least that's giving you some sort of that might be an in for us to sort of like, okay,
Mhm.
introduce, at least you're open to it. But I do agree that you can tell, like you say, and I mean, that's not to be, I don't know if that seems elitist or something, because people
I
act like because you wanna learn or because you care about facts, or it's like, "Oh, you know what I mean?" Like,
I'm okay with being perceived as elitist.
I'm
Elitism
not though,
is
because that's to me, that's the bare minimum, like, reading? When did that
Yeah.
become elite? Like, this isn't the time where it's illegal to read, like, we're talking about a space and time where we all have access to information.
Mhm.
I'm curious why you don't care about information
well, he already has
at
everything he
any
needs to
time.
know. He's
Well,
fine and like has
Because
money and like that's all he needs to know. But
right.
I'm just saying, like for me, it's even more. I'm no, I need you to read books. Like that's
Mhm.
my thing. Like I need you to be like because I read books and I want to talk about them. Like if I have a partner that I'm going through life with, like I'll date somebody like that. But if I'm really looking for a life partner, like you're going to have to be amazing.
Yeah. I think that's the point though. It's about what you're looking for and what he's looking for.
Yeah.
Because everyone that I date, I feel like I put them in different compartments because everyone is not made for partnership. Everyone is not made for a lifelong commitment like marriage. Some men, some women just are dating to have a good time, to have some companionship. And then some people are dating towards partnership, towards marriage, towards finding that one. And then some people are just dating that they don't want to get married, but they do want lifelong companionship. You know what I mean? And so in all of those, I look for great communicators, and do you like to eat? Like if you're like, you know, well, what was somebody
People
I
say no
dated?
to that?
Oh my God, like someone like I couldn't date someone who does intermittent fasting. No, no, no. I'm a hobbit. I want to eat like every 2 hours. Like I'm gonna want you to
Man,
eat too. If we have a reservation, they're talking about like it's gonna be an hour and a half wait. Can we pull up to the Wendy's real quick and get like 6-piece chicken nugget or something like that
While we
while we're
wait.
waiting? Because it's gonna take time for the food to get to our table. Once we've waited, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
while we're waiting, what are we gonna talk about? We're just gonna look at each other. You're cute and I'm cute. Okay. I mean,
Yeah, but we're all
so
or no, or this is what my experience has been on dates. They're on their phone.
yeah. Well, and see, then I'm that
Bunny, your
person.
eyes.
You just talked about me because
I gotta say.
I've got the two phones.
I and see, but everybody has their different their
Right.
lines. Like for me, I would be fine with someone who does intermittent fasting. I do intermittent fasting, so it would be fine if a man did that. It would just be for me, like, yeah, I like to talk. Obviously, like if you're a fan of the show, Kat likes to talk. So if a man can't bring me conversation, like to me that's a huge turnoff. And for me a lot of good conversation comes from reading books, and I love TV shows, I love
Yeah.
movies, I like talking about those things too. But yeah, you have to be able to have the mindset where you can sit long enough to step into somebody else's experience.
Yeah.
Like to me that's super important. But that's the thing, people are different. That's why we all have to figure out what we need. And to me that was one of the things that KS wasn't the people who would call that show, to me, what was apparent to me was that a lot of those people did not know what they want. They knew what
Yeah.
society was telling them what they should want, but they had never taken the time to sit down and think, what do I want?
Mhm.
What goes well with my lifestyle and is going to
Mhm.
make me feel fulfilled?
Right.
And also knowing too, it's not going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Like, I'm not coming
Right.
in. You're going to have to get a lot of, I mean, it'd take me a while to come up with what my imperfections are, but you'd have to deal with those.
Right.
Oh, wow. I can't believe it. Ah, oh
Yes.
my gosh. All right, I won't even go there.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, I concur. I think you ladies are onto something. I definitely feel like it can be I mean, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard. It can be even friendships and stuff. Because I know people will say it's hard to make friends, if you don't already have them and stuff like that. But meeting people who are on your level, um, intellectually or just whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it can
Mhm.
be tough to do, but it can be done for sure.
Yeah,
It
for
definitely
sure.
can be done. All right. Well, do you guys think it's time for a break? I feel like my
I
mouth
could
is dry.
I could use a break. I
Okay,
could
cool.
definitely use a break. No, excuse me.
So we'll take a quick break, you guys, and then we're gonna come right back.
Oof.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, welcome back from the break. My goodness, this has been fun, you guys.
It has.
It's
I'm always like, what are
super.
we gonna talk about? How are we gonna talk for an hour?
Well, don't worry about it. We always make that happen. We always make it happen. And it was just so cool because I feel like I'm there with you guys in Nashville, even though I'm in my closet. This is nice, you guys. I appreciate you coming on the show. Like, I mean, like I said, you were talking about wanting to have the whole episode about Star Trek, and of course we didn't keep it to just that. We talked about lots of things this episode. We talked about, relationships and just just stuff that we liked from our childhood as far as TV and stuff, and how it still has
Mhm.
an impact on you moving forward and stuff like that. And even over the years, how your opinions about that art changes over time, which is interesting.
Mhm.
So, what a show. And we were supposed to have my brother. He actually has, if you guys follow the show, he's at Apollonics on Instagram. He did a episode with us called Natives. Where we read a book called Natives on his
Mhm.
episode, which was really, really cool. Actually, it was one of my favorite episodes too, because we did laugh at Kat a lot. We do have that in common. Like I do like she doesn't even mean to make me laugh, but it is
She's
fun.
a hoot.
Yeah, it's like when you're an only child, I deduce that, like, you're owed a few jabs because it's like you didn't get enough of this.
You
So,
didn't.
just
Oh
welcome to
my
the
God. Can
show.
I say when I used to come down here when I was little, my feelings would get hurt so bad.
You needed it
Oh
though. You
my
needed that.
God.
You
I
were
knew she was gonna say that.
So bad. I was like, what the hell? Like
Have you ever told
the
the I
Target
just
story.
the
I
what
got
story?
these jeans from
I just got
Target.
these jeans
That
from
was
Target.
that's how I
What?
well, how about when
What was the
she had texted me
story?
a while ago because she was in my HBO account, but I have it like a child protected. So
Yeah.
she had texted me and she was like, "Oh, what's the pin for the HBO?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, how do I know this is Shannon and not her daughter?" And she was like, "Oh, I got these
These
pants from
jeans
Target
from
because
Target.
these niggas ran me into the cesspool.
So
I
wait,
didn't
Monica,
even
let me
know
tell
what
you what
Tell me
I
the
happened.
didn't
whole
even
Let
know
story,
me
what
tell
Kat.
you
a
what happened.
no,
Kat,
I
I
didn't
wanna
even
hear
know
the
what a
full 2
cesspool was because I'm from the city. Okay, we have a sewer system. I didn't even know when they were like, you went into the cesspool. I'm like, what the fuck is a cesspool?
So at our grandparents' house, they have this big front yard, big backyard. In the front yard, because again, part of the sewer system, whatever, it's all grass. It's all, country, beautiful, all that. But there's like a little small area about the size of like maybe like 3 kiddie pools size of, because again the yard is huge, of where there's grass that's softer, and it's because part of the sewer system will kind of like bubble up
Ew.
there. Yeah, and so it's always the soft, so we always avoided it. We knew we always avoided it, and I know we told her a million times, but again,
No,
we were
they
kids.
hadn't.
We were
No,
kids
I
and we
did
were
because I
riding
never
bikes.
heard that word before. That's how I know I'd never been told about it because I'm a word nerd. Because as soon as I hear a word I've never heard before, I'm like, what
It's
the
like,
fuck
what's
is
that?
that?
What's
Let me
going
look
on?
that up. And then
So
so,
we're
because no,
right.
that's bullshit. Continue.
We're riding bikes because my grandparents, the hill in the back, I mean, literally used to sled in the wintertime from the top of that hill, like all the way down. It's just a good time. So we'd ride our bikes down, like all of that. So we're riding bikes. We're all on bikes and we're coming through and, coming there and we're like, no, 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 you're going to run through the
No,
cesspool.
no, no,
And of course,
no. Incorrect. They ran me into it. I was never
no
going to
way.
go. I never go into, because you know me with bikes, and this is why.
This is me
This is
picturing
the
this
lure
is
on the show
hilarious.
because I don't fuck with bikes
So
anymore.
me picturing you on a bike running into a
Right.
cesspool is
Rode right through it. And we were like, hey, you just ran through shit.
And it
You
was
just ran through the
dirty.
cesspool.
Like
And
she
she's crying. I just got these jeans from Target. And we're like, this bitch is crying over some jeans from Target.
because I had to pay for them. Like I had to save up my money and buy these jeans because Tubby was not spending money on fashion. My feelings were so hurt. First off, because my cousin ran me into a cesspool because it wasn't a choice. No one's going towards the cesspool.
That's
Like it was obviously wet. I just didn't know what a cesspool
What?
was. And so, and
Mm-mm.
I, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
she
doo
got
family
she got
lore.
some. She got some
Mhm.
a little different. Well, it's
those.
hilarious to think about the doo-doo jeans from Target on, though.
Yes.
Like, that's kind
Man,
of funny, but
I was hot and
oh,
confused. There was so much confusion,
Right.
and then y'all were I know y'all were laughing so hard. You
like
lost your
jackals,
breath. Yeah, like you can't even speak. It's just
like the
so
hyenas
that makes me
from Lion
happy.
King.
That makes
Yeah.
me happy because, like I said, I mean, my brother and I would jab at cat just because I mean, it's
It's
fun.
just fun.
It's
Fun.
just
We like
what
each
family
other.
friends do.
It's
Yeah.
how we show our love. And so it was funny to me when you were telling me you talked to him earlier about him kind of dragging you about when as soon as he saw you on FaceTime, he's like roasting your glasses, probably your hair, I don't know, in front of your mom.
Yeah, yeah. And my mom was not having it. She was not about that. She was like,
That's
who the hell is he thinking? Not this
Did
is
he
probably the
realize that your mom was in the car?
yes. I'm obviously in the car. I made him say hello to everyone in the car.
back to this
Like
roasting about
because
your
I wanted
glasses.
him to
Right.
know it wasn't just me and him
Yeah,
because I know he can get pretty spicy
yeah, he's
with the
spicy.
insult. So I was like, let's keep it nice. This is family time. And
Oh,
that was his version of keeping it nice.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
I just wanted him here today so I could let him know that I don't ever remember meeting him. And he was there, but he was a non-factor. So I
Not
didn't,
a non-factor. I didn't even see him.
yeah,
I like how
don't e
how your mom brought up the fact that one time at your grandma's, like she had made mashed potatoes. Like your grandma would cook every Sunday. This is any of my friends that have been friends with me for a long time know every Sunday. Even my mom and dad knew, like, oh, you're at Kat's grandma's. Like that's where we were every Sunday. And my brother would come with me sometimes. And I remember one time she made a wonderful, pot of mashed potatoes. And this N word is in line for mashed potatoes, first or second in line, and he's just like piling up his plate. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, I know you are not embarrassing me at my friend's grandma's house by putting all these like roasted him in front of the whole family. Everybody's cracking up. So he's like, put the potatoes back. Like, what are you
You'd
doing?
have to know him to know this face he makes when the
You
green eyes
would.
get all big.
What are you talking
And
about?
he's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, like what?
You
What?
didn't think anybody else wanted mashed potatoes?
he thought they were for him.
And then your grandma was like, next time I have to make him his own pot of
She
no,
loved it.
grandma,
She loved it.
absolutely not. No.
That was one of her favorite
Uh,
moments. She loved that. She doesn't
fun.
it was so funny because she's got dementia now. So there'd be times where she didn't necessarily recognize him. Because I remember one time she took me aside, she's like, is that Mark? I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, okay, like let me get you some
Yeah,
potatoes.
it's
She
a
loved
joke
it. But
now.
it was so funny to me how mad Moni got
That
because
was
she was like,
fair.
I swear to God, our mom raised us
That's
better than
you know
this.
what I mean? Like you're embarrassing our whole family.
It's
Like
like
you know
I'm
that.
already a plus one. My plus one brought a plus one. Don't make a fuss, son. Like you really,
Dude, this ain't your
really.
mama's house because and even when we would have guests, she'd have to be like, I will make you more French toast after this. Just get 2 pieces. You know what I'm saying? Because you're about to eat a whole loaf of bread's worth of damn. He eats. Listen, you've made 5 sandwiches, 4 sandwiches, and now the loaf of bread is gone. You know what I'm saying? Like goes hard. So talk about loving eating, Shannon. Y'all actually would vibe a lot on the eating front. So
Yes,
clearly he loves to do
yes,
it.
because it's nonstop. So
Oh my
yes,
gosh. Oh my
I I was looking forward to him getting dragged too, because it was funny. He had come to my house when I was having a party for my daughter.
Mhm.
Because you, Shannon, your mom, my aunt remembered him,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Yeah, you've met him before." You're
It's a
like,
lot
"I
going
don't
on.
think
Yeah.
so."
Not,
Yeah,
never met Mark. Mm-mm. He
Yeah.
doesn't even live in this country. Don't know. I mean, I know you're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about, but
Right.
mm,
It's like, not
no,
exactly.
never seen him. No. And you're like,
Girl.
no, you've met him. I think, no.
I've
Mm,
done that too. It's like, yeah, I
I
don't know.
mean,
There's a lot of people
mm-mm.
there.
But I know
yeah.
mashed potato eating Mark. But
Right.
from all the
He's hilarious.
stories, I love it.
Wow,
Hilarious. Oh
wow,
my
that's the
God.
name right there, mashed potato and Mark.
Mashed
There it
potato eating
is.
Mark.
There it is. I like it. All right. Well, you guys, I think this is probably a good spot to kind of wrap up the show officially.
Yeah, I think so
And
too. We
yeah,
got a lot to do before lunch.
I know we do. So,
Whew.
um, I definitely want to thank you, Shannon, again. If you guys are interested in finding her on social media, her handle's at Super Chef Barbie. Check her out.
And
Um,
she's single.
she is
I
single.
mean,
You know
just
what I'm saying?
saying. Just
Check her out. She's
saying.
beautiful. If you're not watching, like if you're not watching this on YouTube, which
Eh,
I
I'm all
should,
right. I'm
check her
easy on the
out.
eyes,
Super cute. She's looking good, y'all. She's looking like a whole snack. So
Yeah,
just go on there and check her out. Follow her. Do you have anything else you want to add or anything? Like,
you want to plug?
yeah,
Yeah,
like is there something
I'm
you got
just
going on?
super, super grateful for this opportunity. I just feel like I'm in the cool kids club now. Like
You
I
are.
just because
Yeah.
that's been the dream of like listening to. I'm telling you, I think that I'm on the podcast too. I think that
Now
like
you're
I'm
one of the hosts.
I'm
You're here
in
now.
the room, like I'm talking back, and I actually got a chance to do it today. So thank you,
You-
ladies.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. What was been your favorite episode? What got you yelling the loudest?
Okay, yeah.
So of course, yeah, Mark, mashed potato eating Mark, that his
The
opinion.
natives episode.
Episode 2.
Yeah, of course the one about food. There's another one. No, 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 no. Oh, oh,
As long as see
wait.
which one made you the maddest. That's what gets clicks.
Not the one that made you mad.
Because it's funny, like I don't always agree with everything, and I think that's that difference of North and South. And so I'm giving my. I'm just gonna. I can't think of something right now that I was like, oh, they're wrong. They're completely wrong. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. But it's
True.
funny, like I want to introduce a new segment, like even if we just do it like once a quarter of like,
The
you guys
southern
are wrong about
perspective.
this because
I love
Southerners
that.
would say, or, this, if we get
I
into a whole
like
North South
that.
thing, a whole
I
no, you're incorrect. It's actually
Well, now
this,
that
or
we got StreamYard working on your computer, because can I also say, like, for the technical difficulties, like, it was very technically difficult to get
yeah.
your computer to want to accept StreamYard.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I
So,
I love that.
but of course, I'm amazing and figured it out.
I mean,
Cool.
pretty
But
freaking
Thank
awesome.
you.
but now that we got everything cleared out, you now have the Chrome. She didn't have the Chrome browser. It has to have the
Oh,
Chrome
I see.
You
browser.
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
So
Max.
yeah, we got that figured out. And
That's
so like in the future, it'll be easier to kind of have you slide in with the southern perspective.
I like that. I actually really like the idea of having people on, even if they're not exactly on the show, having them share like this was something that I disagreed with, or there's
Yes.
another perspective to look at this, or this is how I would have
We
added
were
to the
wrong.
conversation. Yeah,
Because
I like that.
I'm doing that. Because
I
I'm doing that as I'm listening. I'm like, Moni, no, ma'am. Mm-mm.
that's fantastic. I think that's a really good idea because I do. And so speaking of new segments, we do have a new segment called Stranger Than Fiction. Cue the music. And so this week's Stranger Than Fiction, you guys, I found a story on TMZ. I saw it somewhere else too to cross-reference it. I'll put that in the show notes. But this happened in our own backyards, just about, you guys. So we live in Indiana, one of the many flyover states here in the United States. And there's an Indiana pastor who admitted having an affair with a 16-year-old. So I thought that was pretty weird. So the story goes, this pastor attempted to come clean in church about adultery that he had committed 20 years ago, only to have the congregation turn on him when the woman actually called him out, revealing that she was only 16 at the time. So this pastor, his name is John Lowe of New Christian
Oh,
Church,
that's low.
Right.
real low, John real low. Um, so Warsaw, Indiana, and I'm so bad. I don't even know if that's north, south, east, or west. If it
I don't
doesn't
either.
matter, whatever.
When I think of Warsaw, I think of Poland.
Well, see, there you go. I didn't even know that, but it says he stood in front of his church on Sunday to reveal that he was stepping down after confessing to cheating on his wife with one person many, many years ago. Low, he was met with forgiveness and applause, but then
Mm.
the woman and her husband walked up to the altar, and addressed the congregation. Can you imagine? The woman revealed that she was the one that Low cheated with, but claims that she was 16 at the time, that she had sex with her on the floor in the church office, taking her virginity.
Dang.
You nasty. Oh, but it does.
And you lying. You didn't cheat one time.
Thank you. Thank you.
This was
Thank
the
you.
whole
I was gonna point that out, but yes, please continue.
Because if
okay
you're willing to deflower a 16-year-old
in the
in
church
the on
office
the
floor.
floor of your office, there's no way you weren't smashing
You're
other.
disgusting, sir. No,
Hmm.
this is probably the beginning of a pattern of behavior. So it does say that the age of consent in Indiana is 16. It's still disgusting.
You're
His
still a
son,
pedophile, but
you're
whatever.
still
Hmm.
disgusting, and so
Is
his
that still
son,
the fact? Is that still true?
I don't. Well, this is this. Let me see this.
I mean, back then I understand like that might have
Probably
been back then. Is
24,
that
22 is when this article was. So I don't know if they're talking about then or it probably is now. I mean, we could
I'm
Google it real
sure.
quick.
what?
Hmm.
Why don't you Google that while I'm finishing
I
up?
don't want to
Hmm.
know. I don't think I want to know.
Well, it
Hmm.
says it, so I'm gonna go for it. We can look that up and confirm it in our notes. But um, so the lady went on to say that they had an affair for 9 years, and for him, she was
See.
like, "You need to tell the truth. You need to tell the truth." And
Hmm.
so they left the stage, and people in the audience were shouting at him to tell the truth. And then he eventually told the truth, basically.
Ooh, this is like a
He
Tyler Perry
confirmed it.
movie.
I know. So I'm gonna put the link in there, you guys, so you guys can check out that article. But that was this week's Stranger Than Fiction. Can
Can
you
we just
imagine?
keep it 100?
Let's.
You are admitted to it right now because you're 20 years into pastoring. You're ready to retire.
Yes.
This is not about,
Yes.
oh, God is, just
On my
laid this on
soul.
my heart
Mm-hmm.
to share. No, you're ready to retire. That's why you're
Mhm,
stepping down. You're
mhm,
going to get your pension, your retirement from the church. You and
absolutely,
your wife are going to live this, cushy, comfortable life,
yes,
after you've done these 20 years of service. I'm not, devaluing that. However, you're only doing it now because you're ready to retire. If you
Mm-hmm. And you
truly
can do it
felt bad,
safely.
you would have done it within that 9-year period where you were cheating with this child. And
look
I
at the
so
picture.
so many questions. So
Oh, and
many
he's so cute.
questions.
I can see how it happened.
He's
Ew,
not cute.
gross. Um, did the wife know? Does it say that the wife knew?
They always know.
It doesn't say
That's
that you knew during the time, but no.
Right.
you
Because
be knowing,
Mhm, yeah,
like especially for that long. And it's interesting to me too that she stayed in that church. Like I have to believe there were other churches in Warsaw.
yo,
yeah.
it's a video too.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I
So,
need that link. I
yeah, so I'm
need
gonna
that
put the link
link.
in the
Mm-hmm.
notes, you guys. Matter of fact, I'll send this to you guys right now. I'll send
Hmm.
Oh, Pastor.
but yeah, so it's I mean, these kind of stories happen all the time. I mean, like I've read plenty of stories where it's like, oh, the pastor. I think this is a tale as old as time. Like
I
there's
think I
always
even
gonna be
remember
power.
reading something about like the Catholic Church.
Man, don't even go.
And how
I've
the Southern
heard
Baptists are
something.
releasing that list of.
Oh, I
Did you
saw
did you see
that.
What
that?
I
list?
did see
What list?
that.
What list?
The Southern Baptist Convention is releasing a list of like pastors and clergy and people in their convention because all religions kind of have a thing, and of like all these allegations and adultery, like basically who's been
Mm,
accused of what all these years. Like, yeah, they just
oh,
released it.
the
And the
Yeah,
Southern
album.
Baptists had to fracture from the regular Baptists because they wanted to be racist.
yeah.
So whenever you hear Southern Baptists, just know they had to split off
They
because they
needed
were
to
the
keep that
regular Baptists.
quintessential. Yeah,
Yeah, the regular Baptists were being
they were too. Yeah,
too civil rightsy.
yeah. Hmm.
And so that's why the Southern Baptists had to be. That's why that's why it's a thing now. They couldn't
Yeah,
stay with the regular Baptists because the
yeah.
regular Baptists were just too accommodating to the Negroes.
Hmm.
Wowzers.
So,
So racist Baptist.
so I'm glad.
is
I'm
the-
happy when bad things happen to the Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
We deserve
Oh
that.
man, it's super crazy. I feel like I just listened to an episode. Do you guys ever listen to the Armchair Dax Shepard's podcast? I don't know how
No, but I love
No,
Dax Shepard.
I
I
was
didn't
gonna
know
say I
he
know who
had
that
one.
is, but no.
I love
Armchair
him.
Experts. He has this guy on there. I think he's from New Zealand, and he's been doing these little segments. And he had a whole segment. I think it's called Flightless Bird. I think that might be the show that this gentleman has.
Mhm.
But he's from New Zealand, and he's talking about stuff specific to American culture that seemed weird to him because he's not
Mhm.
from here. So he's like asking them questions, and then he's interviewing Americans. And they did this whole episode. It's the May 17th episode. on religion, and I thought it was a super interesting
Ah, there it
take
is.
on religion because
Yeah.
he comes from a country that's not as formally, like, especially like in our government, super religious and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and how just how super unique America's version of religion is, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
talk about the different sects and stuff. You guys should check that out. That was an interesting episode if you're interested. It just made me think.
Mm.
Armchair expert umbrella.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Good
I'm
old
here
Jack
for
Shepherd.
it.
Yeah, that's a good
With
podcast.
with Dak Shepard and Monica
Monica.
Padam.
Yep, yep, yep.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna check that out. I
Yeah, you
love it.
definitely
This
check
was
that out.
great.
This is good.
Shannon,
I
thank you
know.
so much for doing this. I know you gotta get to cooking.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
you cooking, girl? What you cooking? Just real
I
quick.
am, of course, it's
Oh,
Sunday. So I'm LJ. I'm the always cooking on Sundays, really because I want to eat. And then I love community. So
that's beautiful.
today, and then I don't want to have to cook tomorrow. I want to just be able to relax on my true off day
That
and
part.
yeah, nothing. So I'm gonna grill some chicken, some hamburgers, some hot dogs, some brats, some salmon for Cat, and then make a potato salad, baked beans, slaw. My mom's doing the dessert, so I don't have to do that part. Gonna probably make some sangria. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
I'm talking
Oh,
about.
corn. I feel like we're missing something. Maybe some corn on the cob. Yeah,
That
Yeah.
sounds
lots.
great. Oh my gosh. You know what? You just inspired me. Maybe we'll throw some stuff on the grill. I think I might have some stuff to put on there. Nothing big,
It's
but
the easiest kind of cooking
it
to
is,
me.
and I
I love
love
it.
it. And I love
To
Yeah.
make a large amount of it. And I do, and I want to say officially, thank you so much for getting me the chicken thighs with the skin and bone on them. I know it's
This
extra work, but it means a lot to me.
And I was like,
Like,
I was at Sam's, like, well, I guess I do love Cat, like,
so.
it's the least I could do. She wants, chicken thighs with the skin and the bone, and I'm
that's where
already
all
gonna
the
be
flavor
outside.
is.
It is great. It's just when you're cooking for the masses,
And
it's
our
easier to do
granddaddy,
the.
when he used to make those chicken quarters, they
You
weren't
better
skinless
know
and
it.
boneless.
They were not,
That's
and
what
they were phenomenal.
and that's what you do. You just sit out all
Yeah,
day, and that's what. But I understand now too. He just want to be outside the house, and
with his beer and his
in his
grill,
beer.
and get away from all
Yeah,
those women. Yeah,
yeah, that was the stuff. And also too, I'd be out there too because I'm like I'm hungry.
Okay.
I'd be out
Oh,
there too
will you bless
helping.
us with the? Can we go out on your original song? I'm hungry.
Ah. Yes, so
Oh,
let the listeners know. Once again, I've always loved food. I was going to marry Thanksgiving when I was a kid as well. I was going to marry a lot of people. I was going to be like Zsa Zsa Gabor. I was going to, have these different,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine.
I like
7 times. That was going to be enough for me.
it.
Um, I've always loved food and I've always been hungry. I've always been a hobbit. I've always loved to eat. That's why I love cruises and all inclusive vacation
Situations.
spots because you just get up and 2 o'clock in the
Grace,
morning and you
honey.
call
Some
for
grace.
room service and it's just, yeah. And so, but they didn't believe me. I've always been the smallest one, the tiny one, the skinny one, even though I'm not the youngest one, I was just always the littlest one. So they just,
Just
for
the
whatever
runt.
reason, they equated that to I wasn't hungry. And I was like, these people don't know what the fudge they're talking about. So, I just like other kids, I learned early on, all you
Gotta
gotta
get
do is wear
creative.
the adults down. Gotta
Mm-hmm.
wear them down.
It's effective.
And I was like, but it's got to be annoying. It's got to be repetitive. It's I got to break them. And so I created the I'm hungry sign. So we're
Right.
Southern. So not hungry, I'm
Hungry.
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 So the song is I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm I'm hungry. And I was singing over and over
There were verses
again,
too, because there would be I'm
over
starving.
and over again, even if it took an hour until they fed me again. Yeah, and it works. It still works now.
Put a little
I'll be in
round
the
of
car with
applause
my
in there
mom,
for our friend
and I'll be like,
a friend of the show. And
Yeah, you get a fake ass book club Grammy for that
wow,
one
that was
because
beautiful. Listen,
that one's it's in my spirit. Like I
wow.
can still hear it. Like it's like
I'm
Clarice, can you hear the lambs? It's
right.
like yeah, they're
Okay.
hungry.
Gotta
I'm,
put ring to it.
I'm hungry. I
That
was like,
was
it was
it.
that got on their nerves.
That's why
Yeah.
you got the Grammy.
Oh
So
my
Right.
yes,
God.
thank you everybody.
I
Now y'all
know.
know the song,
Welcome to the family. You know what I'm
and
saying?
it exists forever now because now it's part of the internet.
Oh my
Yes, it's
God.
out there.
I love it. You can meme that, guys, if you want to. That's fine. Turn it
Thank
into
you
a
so
gift.
much. I love you, Shannon. I love
I love
you,
you. I love
Moni.
you,
I love
Moni.
you,
I know, guys.
listeners.
It's been
I love all
fun.
y'all.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.